feel free to, disagree too. Oh, I don't get it. Like, same thing.
Hi, folks. This is Josh Short. I'm the artistic director at the Wilbury Theatre Group, and I am so excited. Tonight, Marcel Mascaro starts off a new weekly class with us. This is Monday nights, the coaching room with Marcel A. Mascaro. Hi, Marcel. Thank you for doing this.
Hi.
Tonight, Marcel has a special guest pupil, Marina Tejado, will be joining them. So again, thanks for all your support as you watch these. If you appreciate the work and the Wilbury Group continuing to stream, because we certainly appreciate staying in touch with our audience, please, you can go to the wilburygroup.org/support, make a donation of any amount to support our work. Okay, thanks again. Marcel, it's all yours.
It's all me. Welcome everyone to the coaching room. Here today we'll have Marina Tejada, and for next week, hopefully sharing with us a contemporary monologue and a Shakespeare monologue. Hopefully we will have time to do both monologues at least twice, hopefully 3 times. Josh, can you hear me all right with this mask on? Because we're trying to social distance. That's why you don't see Marina yet.
Sounds great.
Great, excellent. We'll just be focusing on what Marina is working on and how we can help Marina exemplify those choices and present the opportunity for more choices and more possibilities. We will be doing the monologue as I said, more than once, particularly focusing on just the words, as close as I am to now, as if we're doing a camera audition, and focusing on a little bit of those techniques. Not so much for camera, but video auditions for theater. We'll focus on some camera audition work later. And then the second time we'll have it a little backwards, so we can still practice our theater auditions and what we would be doing in a theater, but using a camera. So without further ado, let me introduce the wonderful Marina Tejada, who we're socially distancing right now. That's why we're presenting separately, who is so gracious to put her work out there. So please be kind, and also know that this is a point where both Marina is going to be very vulnerable, and I'll try to match her vulnerability as best as I can to guide her and coach her without being directorial, which is I think a tricky thing when coaching actors, particularly with monologues or audition monologues. Without further ado, Marina Tejada. Perfect.
There we go.
So before we begin, how are you feeling real quick?
I'm feeling good.
Good?
Yeah.
Excellent. And we're going to do the contemporary piece first, right?
Okay.
Let's start, but before we start, let's make some real quick choices, because I don't know, pick whether you want to look into the lens or not.
Okay.
Right? And that depends on who you're talking to, of course, which you already know this. And let's work on just let's just see it, and then we'll talk. Just do a slate, your name and the piece, and take a moment and begin.
All right, thank you. My name is Marina Tejada, and I will be performing a monologue from Like Dreaming Backwards by Kelly Powell. I dropped her off that night about 1:45. I should have asked her to come over, or at least ask if anything was wrong, but she seemed normal. Not happy exactly, but like herself. I met her freshman year in Introduction to British Literature. We made each other laugh. She was bitter and cynical, but still really nice. I knew she had depression, but it was weird. We had fun together, you know? I never really made sense of that. That night, we saw a play, and then we went to a midnight movie. That was not enough. Through the last half of it, I had gotten up early that morning to go running. And I keep wondering, if there was something in the play or in the movie, some trigger or some reason, something that could set her off, you know? Something I missed. I keep looking for clues, for answers. She had survived so much. Why that night? Thank you.
Great. Can I just ask you real quick, what were you working on, or what have you been working on specifically today? Like what were you focusing on with this try?
Mostly trying to connect with the monologue.
How? Say more on that.
Kind of like, even though it hasn't happened to me, but just like from stories I've heard from friends, and like actually having like people close to you who have passed away, or like just, it's like emotions that you don't know, but you're still trying to connect to it. Yeah.
Right. So you would say you're working mostly on connecting to the emotional piece.
Yes.
That the event is causing in the monologue. And just for people that don't know the play or this monologue, what is the event?
So basically one of the friends committed suicide.
Right.
And the play is just like different characters just doing monologues about how they feel. Right. Of the situation. Yeah.
And what is the relationship between this person and the person that passed?
Friends.
Friends? What kind of friends?
And
you don't have to answer that.
I'm not sure.
Exactly, yeah. Right? Exactly. And so that's my point.
Yeah.
First thing I would ask to solidify in your head, and you don't have to tell me anything, who is that friend? I would say this is what Lee Strasberg, but also Meisner uses it, would call personalization, right? It's slightly different than creation, which is like you try to create the actual image of the person, but you can also, if it's someone that's really close to you, just by thinking about it or imagining it or having that person as, and remembering that it's imagination, right? And hopefully it doesn't have to be someone that actually has gone through that. It could just be someone you love, right?
Yeah.
Whatever kind of relationship you have that you think matches to this monologue in your life, I want you to personalize that person. Okay?
Okay.
And then, can I give you one more task?
Of course.
Why are you telling this story? And who's the person you're telling it to?
Yeah.
Is it your mom? Is it your psychiatrist? Is it a doctor? So more specific about your relationship with the person you've lost, right? Who are you telling this and why? Those are usually connected. And we'll do that for now. And then that's creatively. Technically, I want you to slow down just a bit and to be aware of when you're not breathing.
Okay.
When you're not fully breathing, because there's a lot of chest breathing going on, which is great for some moments, but even when we're trying to recall something very, very difficult, even if our breath constricts for a moment, it tries to find a release, right? So just without thinking about it, just try to notice when you're holding on to your breath. Because what happens when you hold on to your breath, and what happened is that your shoulders started coming up a little bit. Okay. And then what that caused your voice is that it got a little smaller.
Okay.
So be aware of that. Just be aware of that. Cool. Any questions?
No.
All right.
Sounds good.
Let's try it again.
Okay.
And I noticed you were using my face. Feel free to do that and to sink into that, because I saw that in the beginning, and then you follow. Because right now this is coaching. This is not an audition setting. So, and then we'll talk about auditions. But
okay. I dropped her off that night about 1:45. I should have asked her to come over, or at least ask if anything was wrong, but she seemed normal. Not happy exactly, but like herself. I met her freshman year in Introduction to British Literature. We made each other laugh. She was bitter and cynical, but still really nice. I knew she had depression, but it was weird. We had fun together, you know. I never really made sense of that. That night, we saw a play, and then we went to a midnight movie. I was not enough through the last half of it. I had gotten up early that morning to go running. And I keep wondering if there was something in the play or in the movie, some trigger or some reason, something that could set her off, you know, something I missed. I keep looking for clues, for answers. She had survived so much. So why that night?
Great. How did that feel?
Good.
Yeah.
It was different. I've never done it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was different about it? How did that feel? Or what differences did you feel?
I think like actually trying to figure out who I'm talking to, because I've never done it that way.
Right.
So actually figuring out who I'm talking to, and I made a choice of like how much time has passed too.
Right.
Because usually when it's very fresh, you're more emotional.
Yeah.
So probably like a couple months have passed.
Yeah.
I made that decision.
So I'm also seeing, I saw that difference too. The differences I saw is that for the first time in some moments, and I actually heard it in the text, I didn't hear it the first time, you were talking about something positive, right? And you focus on more, and something I also heard more is the why, is that this character seems to be going through the way what I'm getting from you is a questioning.
Mm-hmm.
Why did this happen? You know? I asked you, how do you want to make another person feel, right? We take the evidence of that in the text.
Mm-hmm.
If this person is talking about, I don't know why, I think this, I think that, but I don't know why, you know, those are very important clues to get us to an objective of like, I want you to feel as lost as me, for example, would be how I want to make you feel. Some people call objectives as actions, right? That can be divided into tactics. A great teacher of mine in undergrad, Christopher McCann, kind of simplified it to me. And like an objective is just like what you're doing to try and, how do you want the other character to feel? What do you want the other character to do with the scene, with the moment, with the monologue,
like,
right?
What you want their reaction to be, right? Basically.
Exactly. But like when we say a story, we're usually saying it for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually to affect the other person or to work out something, right? This seems more like a working out something, but maybe you want answers. Maybe you want the other person to tell you, even though you know they can't. That's something to work on, right? I also want you to focus on, keep doing what you're doing. I think from what I've seen from you, I think what's very easy for you as an actor is emotional connection. I want you to trust that you don't have to work on it. Okay. I want you to trust that you know what that is, and your body knows what that is, and your breathing knows what that is. I want you to then work on when it's positive. Again, as I said, personalizing that person, personalize that date, right?
Yeah.
Like you lost them, but you went somewhere. Take us with you. Take us to that memory, and you could extend it. You started to. You can extend that more. You were already doing it, but you don't have to rush through the moment, the prime moment of positivity in the monologue. Okay. Because if not, we already know what it is, because you already know what it is. You know, it's a sad thing. Yeah. And when we're sad, sometimes we actually get really happy because we're thinking of like why I miss them so much, because I love them so much, because I had so much joy. and that joy's gone. And that's the reality that you, I think, already know. You worked on that enough, and I can see that clearly. So just work on a little bit on the positive.
Okay.
What are these positive moments? I've talked too much.
It's great. It's great.
Empieza cuando quiera.
Okay.
Which means begin when you want, for those that don't speak Spanish.
It's so hard sometimes.
Yeah.
I dropped her off that night about 1:45. I should have asked her to come over, or at least ask if anything was wrong, but she seemed normal. Not happy exactly, but like herself. I met her freshman year in Introduction to British Literature.
Can I stop you real quick? Because you took the adjustment well, but you don't have to change the beginning.
Okay.
The beginning can still be hard to talk about it.
Okay.
And then it's like thinking, you know what I mean?
Got it. I know where to do that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because I don't want you to erase everything you've done with a note that's really just about taking more time in the middle. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
Certain beat.
I dropped her off that night about 1:45. I should have asked her to come over, or at least ask if anything was wrong, but she seemed normal. Not happy exactly, but like herself. I met her freshman year in Introduction to British Literature. We made each other laugh. She was bitter and cynical, but still really nice. I knew she had depression, but it was weird. We had fun together, you know? I never really made sense of that. That night, we saw a play, and then we went to a midnight movie. I was nodding after the last half of it. I had gotten up early that morning to go running. And I kept wondering if there was something in the play or in the movie, some trigger or some reason, something that could set her off, you know? Something I missed. I kept looking for clues, for answers. She had survived so much. Why that night?
How did that feel?
It was better. I feel like actually imagine like having fun with friends at school. It gives you like a little of like a turn.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I've the way I've done these is mostly heavy.
Yeah.
So actually trying to imagine like the good times and the fun times, it gives
I agree,
like
and I saw that the pace went down a little bit. So I think how you can. What is the need? You know, we already worked on who you're talking to, how you want to make someone feel, but rather than the emotion, why do you need to talk about this now? Questions that I propose to you, right? That I'm getting from you. Is she still lost? How lost is she? Because right now I'm getting that she's more sad and angry than lost, even though she's, which works, right? But if that's the case, then then you can have more levels in terms of different emotions. But it seems more also what you're going towards is that, and what I got this last time of why the tempo slowed down is because you were lost. How can you be lost and have each breath propel you to the next? This is a technical term, right? So that we don't drop the ball. So that if I am looking for Marina, but she just disappeared. And then she went to the store and didn't buy anything, but then spat at a cat. Why did she spit at a fucking cat? You know, I mean, I know her dog just died, but then why did you spit at a fucking cat? You know, I'm just creating an improv, but it's like you can be lost and be searching for it, but don't give yourself more than a breath. You know what I'm saying? Let it be a deep breath, not a shallow breath, but let the search
pick up the tempo.
Yeah, well, yeah. I guess let's just focus more on searching for the answer, because the text has a lot of I'm searching why, I this and this and this and replaying stuff, right? Another technical note that goes into that is when you're taking us to a memory, don't tell us how you feel about it as much. Don't focus on that. Try to paint it more in your head for us. When you paint that picture with your words for us, we'll know how you feel. Trust that. Trust that your feelings are on your sleeve, you know?
Okay. All right.
Any questions?
No.
Okay.
Just trying to figure out how I'm going to implement that.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
I think, let's simplify it then, right? Let's try an objective of, I got to search for an answer. Even put it on me. Can you give me an answer? Because I don't have one. Let me search it. Maybe I can find it.
Okay.
So work on that and forget about emotion. Just work on that objective. Okay.
I dropped her off that night about 1:45. I should have asked her to come over or at least ask if anything was wrong, but she seemed normal. Not happy exactly, but like herself. I met her freshman year in Introduction to British Literature. We made each other laugh. She was bitter and cynical, but still really nice. I knew she had depression, but it was weird. We had fun together, you know? I never really made sense of that. That night, we saw a play, and then we went to a midnight movie. I was not enough through the last half of it. I had gotten up early that morning to go running. And I kept wondering if there was something in the play or in the movie, some trigger or some reason, something that could set her off, you know? Something I missed. I keep looking for clues, for answers. She had survived so much. So why that night?
How did that feel?
Good.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
You know, I would say that I truly found you, I forget where in the text, but there was a moment where your body just like did this, and you took on a new shape you hadn't taken before, and your shoulders relaxed. And suddenly I was able to actually go with you, you know, and you did something automatically, which is a very technical theater note, which is you had more upward inflection, which, you know, it's not an absolute rule, but many conservatories and many acting classes, they teach, particularly with Shakespeare, that as many pauses as you have, if you keep it up, our attention I'll still have you. I'm still attacking you. As opposed if I always go down and then always, even though I'm really feeling it, it's not, you know, a downward inflection. You lose it because you're not sharing with us. You may be feeling as much, but you're not actually sharing with us. I guess, do you want to move on or do you want to do this one more?
I feel great with that, so.
You feel great with that? Did you find any new things of it?
Yeah, like I keep mentioning,
Your breath
to
and sound
me,
was more free.
to me, when I first, oh, sorry, that's my alarm.
We just gotta, sorry about that. We're back. Okay.
So to me, when I like first saw the piece and everything, it just seemed more dark.
Yeah.
It's just so sad. So
Right.
so it, like it doesn't like to me, it gave me like that chance to actually express myself. But like I didn't see it that way.
Yeah.
So with actually the notes, I feel like the characters are able to express herself even more and just like be more open. And not just be so sad, but like you said, like actually ask questions and stuff like that. It just, to me, it makes us seem more natural.
Yeah. And that's very real, but I think that's a trap that a lot of us fall into, because if you remember seeing your family, your friends, people closest to you, even yourself, when we are in our lowest moments, what are we often trying to do?
We try to get out of this.
We try to find something positive, positivo. It's like, even if we're like, someone's dying or whatever, I can't deal with this emotion. Maybe I can chuckle for a second because it's so unbelievable. That's not the energy of this monologue, right? But at all. But in any situation, no matter how hectic, you know, not saying there's humor in it, but I think
I feel like with every dark story, there's a humor to it.
Right. And particularly as a rule of thumb, even if you get the darkest piece, as an actor, always ask yourself, how can I play the positive action? Especially if there's a lot of negativity. Mm-hmm. How can I play the positive action? And that doesn't mean good or bad. That just means what is that character trying to do? By a positive action, I mean an action that doesn't negate something. An action that allows you to share more. Even if the character is having a difficulty with sharing, and that's what the monologue is about, mm-hmm. It's probably about that because he secretly wants to share. Okay. Because they secretly want to share. Mm-hmm. So like, how do you deal with that opposite, right? Acting is a lot of, some of the strongest choices are paradoxes at times. Anyway, yeah, no, that's great that you got that. And yeah, and I would say, y'all, for anyone listening, that's a nugget that, like, even if you think there's, and this is something that I fall into a lot personally as an actor, that I tend to go to a negative choice, even wanting to make someone feel bad. But even if your character's chewing someone off, it's like, how can it be positive? Even if it's, I'm going to rip your head off, it's positive for you, right? I'm going to rip your head off because your head needs to be ripped because what you're saying is wrong, or blah 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 blah, whatever. We're kind of losing.
No, but it's like, it's different ways that you can apply that to. Yeah,
and we're gonna do another one now. We're moving to Othello, and before we start with Othello, can you just, since we know this play a bit more, I didn't ask you too much about the play because none of us have read the earlier one, which is fine with a monologue like this, because you can kind of make your own choices as an actor of like what the previous circumstances are, and where you're going and what the relationships are, which I always think are the three main things to focus on, right? Why are you here? Why are you saying this? What brought you here? What happened before? The relationship, and what do you want, right? Or out of the other person, or how do you want to make the other person feel, right? So tell us a little bit before you start, where's Othello at right now in the play with what we're about to see? So we know how to follow you. Yeah.
So at this point, Desdemona is dead.
Okay.
There's a theme today.
Yeah. There's a theme.
And
he just killed her, right? He suffocated her, right? For those that don't know the play.
Yeah,
sorry, spoilers.
Oops. So at this point, it's one of his last monologues.
Yeah.
Because like it's towards the end of the play.
Remind me, does he kill himself after this monologue?
He
or no?
does. Yeah. I believe he has one more.
Okay.
If I'm not wrong, I can't remember. But he's just basically like, what did I do? Like, I did this for this, but like I'm also repenting, and I don't want this to go down in history as I was a bad man. So
it's a soliloquy then.
It's because he's like the beginning of the monologue is like a word, self-word. Before you go, something around those lines. Yeah. So.
But he's not talking to any other character, right?
He's not.
So that's to the audience before you, the audience, go. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I think that's enough information. Let's and
by the way, this monologue is bilingual.
Yes, it will be bilingual, and we will address that and how to do that for all audiences, even audiences that don't speak Spanish. But I will just say try, like, unless it will totally take you out of it, what did we learn from the previous monologue in terms about emotions versus action, right? And however you want to apply that to Othello, feel free. And feel free to take as much time as possible. Okay. And sorry, can I ask you one more thing, just because it's bothering me? Yeah, she does it like a baby.
Ahí está.
Great. I said, take off your purse. I'm translating.
And I took it off.
Yeah, ahí está. There it is. All right.
All right. So,
Everybody.
unas pocas palabras entre nosotros. I have done the stage some service and they know it. Y en este caso eso no tiene importancia. Les pido que cuando hablen de mí, cuando cuenten lo sucedido, hablen de mí como soy. No digan que fui una mala mujer. So you must speak of one who loved not wisely, but too well. Of one not easily jealous, but being brought perplexed in the extreme. Of one whose hand, like the base Indian, threw an opal away, richer than all his tribe. Yo confieso ante Dios Todopoderoso y ante ustedes, mis hermanos, que he pecado de pensamiento, palabra, obra y omisión, por mi culpa, por mi gran culpa. Por eso ruego a la Santa María siempre Virgen, a los ángeles y a los santos y a ustedes, mis hermanos. Sorry.
No, it's good, because I was going to stop you anyway. But I wanted you to get a chance to do it all around. I think you can go so much slower. Sorry, I didn't ask you. Wait, how did you feel? Or how was that?
I'm like, yeah.
What were you working on? And it's okay to be like, no, I was just working on making sure I remembered the lines.
that was towards the end.
That was towards the end. Okay.
But
and that happened.
Again, for me, it's connection tours. I just need to do the monologue a few times for me to actually get on it.
Yeah. Can I give you a tiny technical note?
Go ahead.
Only because of this moment. Plant your feet on the ground and try to sit as upright as possible. What that means. That doesn't mean you can't change your shape during the monologue, but I think starting with your feet out and possibly in a more relaxed position is depleting your energy away.
Okay.
And as actors, sometimes a starting position that's just like really rooted to the ground, particularly with a monologue like this, is really vital.
Okay.
Do you hear the birds?
Sometimes I'm like, I hear different sounds.
Right.
Yeah.
You hear different sounds. Hear them.
Okay.
You know, you won't be doing a lot of auditions outside or perform. Maybe you will be doing some performances outside, particularly next year. But hear them, particularly in this monologue, right? Because he's talking to us, but you can make the choice that he's talking to the audience. If this is an audition and you're in your yard, you can make the choice that you're talking to that leaf, to God, whoever that is, you know. To you, I mean, whoever that is to you. So I want you to make a more poignant choice, not poignant, a more clear choice about who you're talking to. And it could just be me, I could represent the whole audience, or it could be nature, or it could be God. Make a choice, whatever. Those are just three that I've just popped out, but it can be something else. And we didn't focus on this too much because I thought that I saw a little bit already, but what is the moment before? And you don't got to tell me. And I'm not talking about like the moment we haven't seen. Yeah. But why do you speak now? Why do you tell us to stop? Are we leaving? Do you see that we're leaving? Create it, right? Create whatever that circumstance is in your head that will get you to say that first line, which is
unas pocas palabras entre nosotros.
Unas pocas palabras entre nosotros, right? A few words between us, right? Now, can I say one more thing? Technical. For Spanish, particularly with Shakespeare, but for everything, and particularly when we're doing it to a mixed audience, we have to slow down, not necessarily in our pacing, but in our pronunciation of things, as almost as much as I am doing it, right? I want to paint you the picture of the dream where I saw a tower 50 feet tall with diamond crusted roofs and a nose on a sphinx that sat on the very, very tip top. It sounds exaggerated, right? But for a very poetic language, even in Spanish especially, because we are very big animated people, allow yourself to be that big with your voice. Paint the picture more. I feel like sometimes you're worried about where you have to end up, and you can sit in the moment more. You're so much more, I think, you're so much more interesting than you give yourself credit for, because I can have you sitting in more moments more. Okay. You know? There was that bit with the contemporary with the too many pauses, but you know, that was a different thing of the end.
Depending on it.
Depending on it. Yeah, don't.
Unas pocas palabras entre nosotros. I have done the stage some service and they know it. Y en este caso eso no tiene importancia. Les pido que cuando hablen de mí, cuando cuenten lo sucedido, hablen de mí como soy. No digan que fui una mala mujer. Then you must speak of one who loved, not wisely, but too well.
Can I stop you real quick?
Yep.
What was your moment before? Because I just didn't, or you don't have to tell me, but can we make a clear reason as to why you speak?
Okay.
You know, is it because they're leaving? You know? Yeah, I'll start that, and I might stop you again to add another thing,
Got it.
another curve. Oh, did that fuck it up?
Yeah.
Well, I was trying to do a little exercise, y'all. Let's do it again. But now you know what I'm going to do. So I'll try and do something different. Just to give you like so you can feel how it is different when
no one's there.
Well, yeah. Well, when you need to bring something, because the first line is an action. One moment, please. What are you doing? It doesn't sound like an action, but you can attach an action to it, right? You're telling us one moment. One moment, why? Because we're leaving? Because we're not listening? Because we're talking? You know, why are you trying to get our attention? What are we doing? And that's your choice as an actor. Okay. Right?
Got it. Let me make a choice.
Yeah. Make a choice.
Okay.
Too much? No, I'm trying to help.
I was looking at and then I looked up.
I won't help you.
Unas pocas palabras entre nosotros. I have done the stage some service and they know it. Y en este caso, eso no tiene importancia.
Sorry, just because in Shakespeare, the beginning propels everything, in my opinion.
Which is fine, because I do have a lot of problems with this. So
No. So why are you switching languages? Don't tell me, make a choice, right? If you want to tell me, you can tell me, and then we can, if you have difficulty making a choice, we can try and make a choice together.
To me, the way me being bilingual, it feels like in Spanish, for me, there's more emotion.
Right.
I connect more. It's like I can say more and describe more in Spanish than what I can do in English.
Yeah.
So sometimes when I'm mad or when I'm sad, I just switch.
But let's see that, right? I guess what I'm asking is, and that's why I'm like, you don't have to tell me, is that how is it a different tactic? And how can it be different? Every time you switch Spanish or to English, doesn't have to be for the same reason. If you have already made that choice as an actor, that for Othello, okay, like when she's really feeling in herself and can speak from her heart, she's speaking Spanish. When she's being political and military or whatever, which is what I'm hearing, like more like to the point, English. So let's make those transitions more. Let's actually see Othello. I can't express myself in English. I have to speak to you in my native tongue. Make it part of a choice. How wonderful would that be for an Othello that, like, on top of their race, language is also a barrier.
Got it.
You know?
Mhm.
So let that give you more, because then that will also color the English. You know?
Got
And because we also need to hear what that, I'm missing that beginning English phrase, which seems to be like, this is what happened. The shit went down. I'm not hearing it.
Okay. Unas pocas palabras entre nosotros. I have done the state some service and they know it. En este caso, eso no tiene importancia. Les pido que cuando hablen de mí, cuando cuenten lo sucedido, hablen de mí como soy. No digan que fui una mala mujer. That you must speak of one who loved not wisely, but too well. Of one not easily jealous, but being brought perplexed in the extreme. Of one who, hand like the base Indian.
Let's go back.
Yep.
Do you know which each line ends and starts in your head? Like the table work?
Yes.
I want you to try just a little exercise, and after each line, breathe in and begin the next line on your exhale. So for example, I'll do 2 lines of the Shakespeare monologue just to show you as an example. Thou nature art my goddess, to thy law my services are bound. Wherefore should I stand in the plague of customs and permit the curiosity of nations? I think I screwed up a line, but you know what I mean? It's after each line, take a breath and continue speaking on the inhale, and take a breath, and that will slow you down, and just see what that does to you.
Okay.
Okay?
Unas pocas palabras entre nosotros. I have done the stage some service and they know it. Y en este caso eso no tiene importancia. Les pido que cuando hablen de mí, cuando cuenten lo sucedido, hablen de mí como soy. No digan que fui una mala mujer. You must speak of one who loved not wisely but too well. Of one not easily jealous but being brought perplexed in the extreme.
All right, so let's stop there because a lot is coming up, right? And this was a very good switch.
Yeah.
How did that feel? Did you feel
Better.
different?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, because again, Shakespeare is so different. So it's like trying to find, I don't know how to explain it.
No, I think it's, yeah. There's a lot of technical stuff to work out here. So we'll leave the objective and the stuff, I think, for later. With Shakespeare, but I think with any playwright, for the most part.
Yeah.
What words do you think are the most important?
So
you're kind of doing it. You were doing it already in the Spanish. You were painting it more that way.
It's like, first, it's like, I want you to know I wasn't a bad person.
Right.
And I want that to go down in history.
Right, but what are the kind of words?
It
might be a trick question. I maybe should just.
It might be.
Verbs.
Okay.
Verbs, right? There's a teacher I once had who said, like, if you see in a line, in a Shakespearean line, whether it's prose or verse, a word that has more than one syllable, it's usually mean that it's most important than other words, right? So the more syllable words has, that's not as hard and fast rule, because he also likes to play with alliteration. So when he repeats a word, that's also very important to note too. You know, like words, like Hamlet, right? And how you can actually play with that. You can go words, you know, because that's prose. But verbs, adverbs, adjectives, and then nouns.
Okay.
Nouns are almost the least important unless it's the main point of that line, unless there's an irony in that line, right? Which is, you'll usually know because it's usually repeated and he shows you, he lets you know, right? I say that because you were already focusing in the Spanish became clearer to me because you focus on the words. Let's do it again and focus more on verbs than nouns this time around. and still hold on to whatever you're working on in terms of like why I need to speak Spanish, why I need to blah, blah, blah. And share with us the story, because you for now are, I think this is one of the first times in the play where we kind of get your point of view without Iago coming in and telling us
Something
his plan or blah, blah, blah. Okay, that was a foul. Now, look at my bad plan. I'm a big bad, you know, shut your mouth. But does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think I'm being too silly.
Yeah, I got it.
And that's another thing. Since we are outside, let's play with this, y'all. Because if you are in an outside audition or whatever, or in a performance, if we just ignore what's happening, the audience loses you. Because the audience can't ignore what's happening. I know the sirens are happening, right? So,
Yeah.
So if you need to pause, how can you make that part of the scene? What does hearing sirens to Othello after he just killed this woman who's not of his ilk, so to speak, even though it's of his family, of his love, you know,
Yeah.
how does that work? So
Thank you. Unas pocas palabras entre nosotros. I have done the stage some service and they know it. Y en este caso eso no tiene importancia. Les pido que cuando hablen de mí, cuando cuenten lo sucedido, hablen de mí como soy. No digan que fui una mala mujer. That you must speak of one who loved not wisely but too well. One not easily jealous, but being brought perplexed in the extreme. Of one whose hand like the base Indian threw an opal away, richer than all his tribe.
So before we get to the metaphor of the Indian, you got like a line, you got like 2 or 3 lines of antithesis. Love wisely, but something else. Dun, 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 pum, 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 pum. How can you actually separate them? Give them more weight. You can give them more time. And it's not about like giving more time in between lines, but in between words to really give each word. Imagine that the words are candy, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that does anything.
I know what you mean.
Pero que es como una mecocha. That's taffy, y'all. It's like, you know, how can you really string them out, particularly in Spanish, because we won't know, but also allow that stretching out to bleed into English as well.
Okay.
And don't be afraid of how you pronounce. I mean it. No, I'm saying, because I know many.
My tongue gets just like.
Well, no, I think a lot of times people, when they do Shakespeare, they think that there is a way to do Shakespeare that is a mid-Atlantic regionalism, when in reality, the best Shakespeare monologues I've done have been like with my family's Cuban accent. 'Tis torture and not mercy. Heaven is here. You know, like really accept and love all the choices that come with Marina, and how can you really let her go to really take on the role of Othello? Because I see you holding back a little bit.
Okay.
And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's fear. I don't know if you actually are holding back or you're just tired, or like I don't know what it is.
It might
like
be a mixture.
yeah,
Who knows?
it might be a mixture, but like
Got it. Unas pocas palabras entre nosotros. I have done the stage some service and they know it. Y en este caso eso no tiene importancia. Les pido que cuando hablen de mí, cuando cuenten lo sucedido, hablen de mí como soy. No digan que fui una mala mujer. That you must speak of one who loved not wisely but too well. Of one not easily jealous but being brought perplexed in the extreme. Of one whose hand like the base Indian threw an opal away, richer than all his tribe. Yo confieso ante Dios Todopoderoso y ante ustedes, mis hermanos, que he pecado de pensamiento, palabra, obra y omisión. Por mi culpa, por mi gran culpa.
I'm gonna stop you right there real quick, because then you went to another B, right? You said it, and even in the Spanish, I am now going to confess to you, which is something Shakespeare does all the time in English as well. So, like, I have a monologue I do all the time where it's like, for God's sake, let us sit upon the ground and tell sad stories of the death of kings. When that happens in Shakespeare, that's a clue that he's asking you to do something. Now, even if you're sitting down and you can't move much, how does your body or shape change in order to get ready to confess? How does Marina then transition from talking to the audience to like, you know what, y'all? To prove that everything I'm saying is like honest, I'm going to pray right here in front of you. Pray with me, or pray by, or maybe the choice is to pray alone, but be seen. Like, why are you praying?
Mm-hmm.
And how does your body change to fit that, right?
I think I would have to do this standing up, because the way I do it standing up, and then
let's see it standing up. Let's see it standing up.
I'm
one more
trying
thing,
to stay around the light.
We're good. I think you're fine.
Okay.
Yeah, however far close you want to get, you're good right now.
Okay.
Yeah. How are you feeling?
Good.
Yeah.
Just gotta do it.
No, but do you have a fear? Is there?
No, I don't have a fear. It's just something I'm not used to it. So it's like.
Yeah. What is it? Just the Shakespeare or the?
Yeah, just the Shakespeare.
Okay.
Yeah. Shake it out first. Okay.
Or put it in. Put that frustration in. How can that frustration be part of you trying to express it?
Okay.
More.
Unas pocas palabras entre nosotros. I have done the stage some service, then they know it. Y en este caso eso no tiene importancia. Les pido que cuando hablen de mí, cuando cuenten lo sucedido, hablen de mí como soy, no digan que fui una mala mujer. For you must speak of one who loved not wisely but too well. Of one not easily jealous but being brought perplexed in the extreme. Of one whose hand like the base Indian threw an opal away richer than all his tribe. Yo confieso ante Dios Todopoderoso y ante ustedes, mis hermanos, que he pecado de pensamiento, palabra, obra y omisión. Por mi culpa, por mi gran culpa. Por eso ruego a la Santa María siempre Virgen, a los ángeles y a los santos y a ustedes, mis hermanos, que recen por mí ante Dios nuestro Señor. Amén.
Is that it? So we don't have that much time to do it all, but I do want you to work on this prayer again real fast. And do it sitting, because I want you to work on something. Get a little closer, because it's getting a little darker. We're just going to move this a little bit. Muévete para acá, para la luz, para que te dé más.
Okay.
I said, yeah. And just feel free to move a little closer. And I want you to make the slightest change, but focus. Just go one line before the prayer and focus on, oh no. This won't work. Muévete para acá. There we go. But get your head closer. I just want to get rid of this glare. A little closer. Perfect. So start from the line before the prayer. Just right. And I want you to make, you know how I was talking about you make a physical choice of the prayer? Make it all in your voice. Don't move. Don't change your body. Make it all in your voice. Your head can move, obviously. If that affects the way your shoulders breathe or have to adjust, let it. But don't focus on that. Just focus on, I said this part, now I have to pray. Why do I have to pray? And what happens? What's that transition, right?
So it goes.
Oh, and keep your eyes open.
Okay.
You can only keep them closed for 2 seconds once.
Okay.
So you can only use that once.
Okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So reserve it. It's a long prayer.
All right. Of one whose hand like the base Indian threw an opal away richer than all his tribe.
I'm going to make you do that line again. What am I losing? Where's the verb there?
Okay. I'll start like 2 lines before.
And how important is it that Othello is comparing himself to a base Indian in the context of what we've seen his identity mean in this play? You know? It's hard because we're doing a mid-monologue, so it's like, if you need to go back one more line, do so, and then we'll finish. But
of one not be no, oh my god, of one not easily jealous but being brought perplexed in the extreme, of one whose hand like the base Indian threw a noble away richer than all his tribe. Yo confieso ante Dios Todopoderoso y ante ustedes, mis hermanos, que he pecado de pensamiento, palabra, obra y omisión. Por mi culpa, por mi gran culpa. Por eso ruego a la Santa María, siempre Virgen, a los ángeles y a los santos y a ustedes, mis hermanos, que recen por mí ante Dios nuestro Señor. Amén.
that was better. That was stronger. I am noticing that sometimes you like to make sure you get a whole line on one breath. Do you notice that?
Yeah.
You don't need to do that. You won't lose us.
Okay.
You know, like you can have, I kneel here before you, Holy Mother of Virgin, bearing my heart. You know, I paused 3 times. You know?
Yeah.
You don't want to do it in a way that like totally breaks the thought pattern. A thought is a thought, and it's good to have those long thoughts, but like not if it's not good to push them. You know, if they come naturally like that and we follow you and that's where the rhythm is taking you, then by all means do it in one thought, in one breath. But I think that's why I'm telling you to slow down. It's not so much that you're going too fast, it's that you're not breathing enough. And not breathing enough makes you just go a little faster and not give yourself enough time to really set these moments for us. Like there was this beautiful thing that you got very close to before Indian, which is, what's that line again? Just give me that line. The
of one not easily jealous, but being brought perplexed in the extreme.
Easily jealous, but being brought perplexed into the extreme. Okay, what's the line before that? Easily jealous.
Then you must speak of one who loves not wisely, but too well, of one not easily jealous.
Right. You see those differences there? You could
kind of like a compare and contrast.
Yeah, we need to see that compare and contraction more.
Okay.
You know, a one that loved not wisely, no ame inteligentemente, tú sabes, but you know.
Got it.
And for next time, we won't focus too much on this one for next time, but we'll go back to it because I want you to do some homework on this one in particular, and I want you to focus on the verbs. I want you to circle all these verbs. You know. And I also, something I forgot to tell you because, and I forget what the name for it, they have a rule in grammar, but I call them transitional nouns. But I don't even think they're nouns, but by, for, then, what sometimes, because what isn't a question in Shakespeare always, right?
Yeah.
What a thing is man, right? Or what sometimes sets up thou, but, for, and. You know, when you see these like usually to compare, you know, don't ignore them. Don't put so much weight on them. But if you find yourself ignoring them, have a run by yourself where your overacting goes so you understand which are the transitional points that Shakespeare is telling us.
Got it.
You know? And that way we see it more. Because we got to remember, when he made all this, the only people that could see the actors were royalty for the most part. Everyone else was mostly hearing it.
Okay.
And the actors were aware of that, right? And so however you do it, you don't have to do it in OP or anything, but know that it's a language-based theater form, right? Because theater comes in many forms, whether it's more physical, more language-based, more musical-based, whatever. But this is very language-based art form, right? Where literally the words, it's almost like a radio play, where the words have to be given more importance, and you have to pretend that we can't see all the great things you're doing with your face, with your body, right?
Got it.
And usually when you put the words first in Shakespeare and let your body go, your body will start to do things you didn't even know it could.
Okay, cool.
Do you have any questions, any desires, any
This was great.
things for next time? Anything that you thought could work better? Or
No, because like I
I
said,
love criticism too.
I practice at home
Right.
by myself.
And it's
so
clear.
and I didn't really go to school for this. Like I took some acting
Right.
classes, so it's great actually hearing what I can't see. Because
Right.
I'm performing, but sometimes like when I'm doing it in front of my mirror or whatever, it's not the same. I'm not gonna get the same criticism from myself that
Right.
I get from you. So
Right.
to me, it's great everything that you're saying, and there's a lot of things that I've never thought about that obviously I didn't put towards this monologue or the one before it. That it's like it changes everything,
Yeah.
and it's giving me different ways of like, oh, I didn't think about this. Like this could change this could change that. I can connect more towards it.
Are you someone that likes writing things down? Do you have a
Yes.
journal? Write about what you learned then today. I don't like, so I record it, or I need to talk to it about it with a friend for me to stay. But if you like journaling, feel free to journal about. Also, next time we meet, or any time that we have, or for any coach for that matter, if you don't know something, because I actually thought you did have training.
No.
So that's great. If you don't know how to do something, if you don't know what an objective or tactic, like if you don't know ever what I'm talking about, without fear, sin pena, without shame, let me know, and I can adjust it.
Okay.
You know, because I was also using language under the pretense
That I knew.
that
I mean,
you
I
knew
got
some
it.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if anything, like even something like tempo, if you don't know what I mean by that, let me know, because you can criticize me as much as I can deconstruct your work to hopefully, provide you with insight to make it stronger, and for you to always be making your choice, because it's like, even when we got a little directorial, it's all about how we can open your imagination to get away from your feelings and tell the story, because by telling the story, you're so much in your feelings that we'll get it. You'll do it automatically. Trust in yourself in that.
Alrighty.
Yeah. I think we're good, Josh. Are you still with us?
I'm still here. That was awesome, Marcel, Marina.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that, both of you.
Thank you.
No problem. Come here, Marina. We'll stick our heads both kind of. Can you see our heads here?
Yeah, sort of.
Both together.
Great job. Thank you both. That was
Thank
great. I
you.
can't wait for next week.
Woo!
Yeah.
I'm excited.
We'll have
for
a
it.
new monologue, but we'll see a little bit of Othello again too.
Okay.
'Cause I
Awesome.
think it's a great piece. But yeah.
Next Monday, 8 p.m., Marcel and Marina back again. The
You got
coaching
it.
room. Thank
Yeah,
you both.
we'll be in a less loud place, because I didn't realize there's going to be fireworks again.
I love the Providence summer night. It's like,
You know it.
love it. All right. Thank you both.